Chris Clark here from PalmettoPreps.com, and in this episode of Palmetto Preps The Show, I'm going to be joined by Ashley Ridge head football coach Shane Fidler. Going to talk to him about several things, whether it's transitioning from one high school job, head job in South Carolina to another, how he's managed his football team during the COVID-19 pandemic, working towards the new high school football season with an updated schedule, as well as season outlook for Ashley Ridge and some of their college prospects. So really hope you enjoy our interview with Coach Fidler. If you would, drop a comment, like this video, help us push it out to more people. And if you would, take a second and hit subscribe to our channel here on Palmetto Preps. It's free, and it really helps us continue to grow and get the word out with positive exposure for student athletes, coaches, and administrators in the state of South Carolina. So without further ado, let's dive into our interview with Coach Fidler. Hope you enjoy. All right, Coach. So appreciate you joining us here on Palmetto Preps The Show. First of all, how are you doing family-wise? You, your wife, the baby, everything going well with it?
Yeah, newborn, 4 months old. You know, had a rough night last night with the hurricane coming through. No, they don't tell you about how hurricanes and stuff affect babies in the baby books, but for those out there, they do, and it keeps them up. But yeah, baby's healthy, mom's healthy. We're all ready to get back to work, back to school, and get into a new year.
Good deal. So along those same lines, you have everybody's working under, different sort of interesting circumstances. Yours maybe even more so. You're in year one of a new job at Ashley Ridge coming over from Waccamaw. So, how has that been, the transition? If you can go back, maybe a multi-part question just about, maybe some thoughts on number one, making that move, and then number two, just how it's been. Because not only do you have the transition of moving to a new school now and all the newness that comes with that, but you also are doing it during a time like this where you have a pandemic. So if you could just speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, I got the job probably about a week before everything went down, and they shut us down. So I got to spend, roughly a week with the guys in the weight room and around the kids, and then they abruptly shut us down. But the coaches, we kept working. We utilized virtual resources like Zoom and Microsoft Teams to connect with each other, and then we got our plan together over a few weeks, and then we started incorporating the kids in our virtual meetings as well through the month of April. Anticipation of hopeful return in May for spring practice, and obviously we lost that. So we continued our virtual meetings. Hey, now we're preparing for summer. Hopefully we get to return then. And then we did. We got to come back for 2.5 weeks in the month of June and then the early July. And we had, excellent turnout, an incredible turnout for the time period that we're in. And the effort was unbelievable. It's very refreshing to work with some kids that want to be successful, and they're intrinsically motivated to have that success and the way they work. And then, they shut us down again. So we're back on the virtual side of things, trying to meet with our kids virtually to, keep our communication lines open with them, make sure they're good, they're healthy, everything, that all their needs are met. And then two, football stuff. Installs. We got, film from, I got film of my stuff that we're installing offensively. I got film of our defensive coordinator who's coming over from Stratford, his stuff he's trying to install. We've hired a offensive coordinator from Somerville last year. We're, incorporating some of his stuff as well. So it's new for these kids. Like you said, it's different circumstance because I wasn't coaching here last year. So there's a lot of newness for the guys. So we've had to be creative, and we had to be resourceful during these times. And we'll continue to do so until we're back at it with them every day.
And for those that don't know, what is your sort of down there in your district, sort of the reentry, quote unquote, plan for, when you can get into which particular phases, if you know all that right now?
Well, I don't. We're still waiting to hear go back. I know Berkeley County they haven't stopped. Charleston County, I believe, is going back next week. So we're of the triangle there. We're the third one, and like I said, we had great 2.5 weeks. Obviously, with the cases spiking, they felt it was best to shut us down for a little bit. We're hopeful that we're able to return sooner rather than later. And it looks like when we get back, we'll be in phase 1.5. So the coaches and I, we met A couple of us met in person last week, and then we had a big virtual meeting over the weekend and said, all right, here's our plan when we get back. These are going to be the groups. This is going to be how we structure it. So that way, when we are back, we can hit the ground running.
What's your biggest concern as a coach? Typically when you go into a season, obviously you're worried about fitness and things like that, but is that more so the case this year just because there's been such a long layoff or interruptions in team workouts? Like whenever you do get your guys back, it could, in theory, as you phase in, it could be closer and closer to the start of the season, right? So, I mean, is it a bigger concern this year just in how good a shape are your guys in?
Oh, absolutely. And you have to develop your schemes and your game plans around that, knowing that your guys aren't going to be in the shape that they were. But on top of that, the first concern you have is about their health with everything that's going on. Mm-hmm. We got to make sure that we're doing our part as coaches, as leaders in the school, to make sure that we're keeping our kids as healthy as possible, and we're following all the restrictions and the guidelines that they give us to do that. Obviously there's, parents concerned about their kids. We as coaches are concerned about each of the players. We're concerned about our health, what we bring home, et cetera, et cetera. But, we feel that if we follow the restrictions correctly, we, professionals and people that are, get paid a lot more than we do come up with these restrictions. So we believe that they know what they're talking about. And if we follow them, that we'll be okay. So we got to worry about that first and foremost. And then after that, we start looking at their strength, their conditioning, speed training, all the things, different things that you do throughout not only the summer, but the entire off season.
Yeah.
Fortunate here at Ashley Ridge to have all our players involved in weightlifting class, football class all year. And that's very beneficial to the program here. And, they stopped in March, but we use an app called Train Heroic, and we send workouts out to the kids almost every other day. And it's their responsibility to do the workouts on their own. We've had excellent participation from that. So I'm hopeful that when we return, we won't be as out of shape as some teams may be, some individuals may be, and, we're a little further along than maybe we could or should be.
Right. All right. So team outlook, and I guess we can talk in terms of if things were normal, if you've got a full slate of practice and if everybody's healthy and everybody's, in good shape and everything, just going into this season, what are your, what do you feel good about in terms of just, obviously you haven't had that full slate of, okay, I've seen my guys for an entire preseason in practice on the field, but I'm sure you've gone back and watched some guys, been able to see some things workout wise and all that. So what do you feel good about on this team in every phase of the game?
Well, offensive line, we got some great maulers up there. Watching them on film and seeing them work out, just for a couple of weeks, I've been real impressed with them. Like what they're doing. Think that we're going to be putting them in a position to have success with what we're trying to do offensively. Running back, they got 1,000-yard rusher returner. His name's Troy Grant. He'll be a senior. He was I think he averaged like 10 yards a carry or something last year. I don't know all their stats. I'm just kind of going off the top of my head with it, but he was an excellent player from what I saw on film, and getting behind that offensive line could be a great little combo there. Defensively, the linebacker is very deep at linebacker. I mean, the conversations I have with defensive coaches, we've got a lot of guys to play only 4 spots. Mm-hmm. So we got to figure out how to use packages, sub packages. Can we move some of those guys around, and maybe a guy go here or a guy go there, so we can get our best guys on the field. And we got all seniors at defensive back, so I feel good about those positions right now. D-line's very unproven, but there's a lot of talent there. Wide receiver, same thing. And then quarterback, of course, it's the first time in God knows how long, and Duncan hadn't been behind center for Ashley Ridge. Yeah. We had a kid move in from another school in the area. Connor Black is his name. Right now, I'd say he's probably the projected starter. He hasn't won the job yet, but he's been very impressive so far. We have another kid that was the quarterback on the JV last year named Connor Smith. He'll be a sophomore. He's also competing for that spot. And, they're battling out. In just the 2.5 weeks we saw, they were battling it out. So hopefully when we get back, we can pick that right back up. But just excited about the team. Really like the attitude of the kids and their effort. It's tough to say, I know we're going to be strong here or this, that, and the other, because I haven't seen them one day in pads with my eye. I've seen the film and I know what the other coaches are saying, and I've seen them with T-shirts and shorts, but until we have pads on and we're hitting each other, and that makes things a different story.
Yeah, sure. Now, looking over your schedule, the new 7-game schedule, obviously you have the Dorchester County Showdown on September 4th, but then you don't have it easy, in terms of scheduling, right? So tell us a little bit about region outlook. You got, you start with Fort D, end with Cane Bay. You've got Somerville, Goose Creek in between there, Berkeley. Just tell us a little bit about your region, just maybe with, obviously you have, some familiarity with ball around the state, and I'm sure have dug in on some of these teams. So what's your outlook on the region?
Well, before I got the walk ball as the offensive coordinator at Colleton, and we were in this region with these guys, so I have familiarity with some of these opponents, and and hiring Hunter Spivey from Somerville, who has coached against these guys for a few years as our offensive coordinator, and hiring Chris Collins as our defensive coordinator, who's at Stratford, and he's been at Goose Creek, and he's been a bunch of places in this area. He knows these coaches. Bobby Marion is on our staff, as our run game coordinator. He was head coach at West Ashley. So we got a lot of familiarity with the guys in this region to help me, bridge that gap coming from, 3A up here and not being around this area for a while. But, there's a lot of great regions in the state. You look at the 5A regions up in the Spartanburg area. You look at, the Myrtle Beach area, 4A region. You look at, that Waccamaw, Dillon, 3A region. A lot of great regions. But, I think toe-to-toe, our region can hang with anybody. You got Fort Dorchester, Somerville, West Ashley. You brought in, Donnie Kiefer, 2-time state champion coach. Stahl, Stahl has talent, and they beat Ashley Ridge last year. So there's never an easy week, and then, non-region games, golly, look at the teams we drew. We drew Berkeley. They're unbelievable. They're a state power perennial.
Mm-hmm.
Goose Creek, who went to state quarterfinals last year, and then Cane Bay, who's going a few rounds in the playoffs every year, and what they do offensively is just something different to prepare for. And those kids are tough. So every game we have this year, all 7 games, are going to be a slugfest, and we're going to have to bring it every week. And with the rules this year of only the top 2 making the playoffs, it just adds that much more focus that you got to have if you want to get to the first round, second round. You want to get that far, you got to bring it, and you got to stay healthy. And with COVID, it adds another element. What if you got to build depth? What if one of your guys that you count on comes down with it when he's out 2 weeks? So you got to. I've been preaching to our coaches, hey, a lot of times you want to focus on the starters or the important backups. You got to focus on a lot more than that, because if one person goes down and maybe he rides in the car with another kid that matters, well, they're both on quarantine. We've got to have other kids prepared to play. And, we're not the only team facing that. That's what's crazy about this year. Everyone in the state's facing that same thing.
Yeah. Good stuff. All right, Coach. Well, hey, I really appreciate you taking time to join us today. It sounds like you got some good things going on down at Ashley Ridge. Like you said, region slate's tough, non-region slate's tough, but I'm sure it's exciting for you guys to eventually get back out there and get into year 1. So we wish you the best of luck, and thanks again for taking time to join us.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. Go Fox.